This is The Complete Creative, the podcast for creative pros who want success without sacrificing what matters most. I'm Bree Stockwell, life coach to creative professionals who love meaningful work and a complete life. Each week, we talk about what it actually takes to create your intentional life, where your health, relationships, meaningful creative work, and your inner peace joyfully coexist. Let's get started. Hey y'all, welcome back to the podcast. What you are about to hear is the audio recording of a workshop that I recorded for my email subscribers. And if you would like to subscribe to my email list, there is a link in these episode notes. You can get invited to cool things like free workshops. And I send out a weekly email called The Creative Juice. And it's a really fun one with personal insights and featured creative pros and all kinds of cool things. Again, what you're going to listen to is an audio recording of a workshop I did called Your North Star Year. And this is about choosing a word of the year with intention to guide you through your year. And you can hear more about it as you listen to the recording. But what I want to tell you is something very important, which is if you go to creativemindscoach.com/North Star Year, yes, you'll have to subscribe to my email list, but you will get a PDF to walk you through this workshop. So you can print that out or you can have it on your computer, but then you just have it. And you can do this every year. You don't actually have to do the audio because I think once you do it once and you have the PDF, you can do it again and again. You could have a word that comes to you seasonally or quarterly or whatever. So I hope you go and download that PDF because I think it will be super helpful for you to actually see the words instead of just absorbing this. And I hope you actually do the workshop with me because there will be places that you can pause within it and do the intentional work. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Welcome to your North Star Year workshop. So I'm just going to get right into it. Most of us sit down to plan our year and we immediately ask, what am I going to do this year? And it's a little later in January, but I don't think it's too late. I want to start with a different question. In fact, I just barely picked my word. Like there's still so many months ahead of us. But I personally want to start with a different question, which is how do I want to move through my year? Or how do I want to be through my year? Because what I know is depending on how I believe I am or who I believe I am, that creates my reality of my year. So this is where I want to start. So in this session, in this workshop, we're going to slow that question down. We're just going to look at the question and we're going to take a look at what's been working for you and what hasn't. And then I'll walk you through some guided reflections and then you'll choose one word to guide your year. A very intentional word, something that's actually going to be useful for you in this time of your life. And the reason I call this the North Star Year is because this word will be designed to be a kind of a North Star that you can return to again and again to help you make decisions, to help you identify priorities and boundaries and move through the rhythm of your actual life. So before we start writing anything down, I want to share more about how I think about a North Star. Okay, so a North Star comes from two places, vision and clarity. So vision is about direction, what you are orienting towards, right? Think about this as a compass. In fact, if you got all my emails or you saw the registration page for this, right? I have a compass on the page, right? So vision is about direction. And then the second part is clarity. And clarity is about honesty, being super honest with yourself not just with other people, but especially with yourself about what it is that you want, where it is that you want to be going. And the reason I bring this up and the reason I created this is because I use a framework in my coaching called the Creative Compass. So I'm going to give you a little bit of context for where the North Star fits into this framework, because this is how I like to talk about things. Is I like it when they fit into my framework. Sometimes I don't, but a lot of times I like to create from that space because I find it super helpful. So the Creative Compass is designed to help you and me. I designed it for me to create aligned direction without over planning or burning yourself out. It makes how you move through life so much easier. So these are the parts of the compass. The first is clarifying your vision. You can already see where the North Star fits in there, right? Where this word fits in. Number two is anchor in your identity. I'm not going to talk about all of these things. I'm just going to give you an overview. Number three is align the energy. And number four is design your rhythm. The design your rhythm is the actual part of how you move through your day, the things you do in physical life. Okay, so we do all of these things and they don't have to be slow. They're never slow, actually, but these are the things that we want to do before we get to design your rhythm, like how the year will go. And that is why I want to start with the word, because once you have a word as a direction, then you can work through the rest of the framework and figure out the things you actually want to do with your energy, with your time. So this comes first. So vision will give you direction without needing all the whole year mapped out. It will automatically come. It will start to align as you use this word as a filter. Okay. Also, when I talk about a North Star and a word, I don't mean like something like big and dramatic. This is actually something practical. A North Star is a point of direction. Like think about it as true north on a compass. Okay. It's a way to orient yourself. It's not going to tell you where to go or what to do, but it always points you in the quote, right direction as you make decisions. Here's how I have used a word in the past and how I use my word as a filter. So last year, the first time I created a word of the year was in 2024. I can't believe it's 2026. Was in 2024. That was the word ease, because I wanted things to feel easier, like flow. And last year, I used the word peace. And so I want to talk about this one. Specifically, I wanted just more peace. I wanted less chaos. I wanted less worry. And as I used this word through the year, the idea of what it was grew. Like it became about not just like physical peace, but inner peace. And I started to do things like releasing all worry and concern. For me, in this point of time in my life, there is no such thing as worry or concern. I also used it to learn more about nervous system regulation, to create peace in my body. So it was like a direction, this North Star, to learn that for myself or more about it for myself. Peace as a North Star helped me learn how to reroute myself back to stasis, like peace, inner peace more often. I felt less rattled, grounded, like more sure, super stable. Things don't rattle me like they used to. Because I used this word, I have so much less chaos in my life. And it feels so good. Not that I'm like zen all the time. If you know me, I'm bubbly, I'm fun, I'm doing the things. Okay, but the peace is an internal state. And this didn't take a lot of efforting because I decided on the one word to use as the filter, as the direction. This is what I would love for you. So let's get into it. Okay, so before we're going to do a few things here in this workshop, including pausing so that you can do the work. So this is designed so that you will pause, whether it's audio or video, okay, that you will pause this and do the work. All right, so join me. So before we look ahead to the word of the year, we're going to look backwards because the past can help inform us. So we're not going to look in the past to like analyze or fix anything. We're just noticing. We're not judging, we're just noticing. And it's about paying attention to what's been hard, how you've been supported, so that your word for this year comes from a place of real experience, your lived experience. Okay, so our first reflection is this review of the past year. I want it to be simple. Please keep this super simple. And short answers here are perfect. Okay, so I'm going to ask you 4 questions, and then I want you to pause the recording and take maybe up to 5 minutes to write. I don't care actually how long you take, but keep it simple. This doesn't have to be effortful. Okay. So here are the 4 questions, and then I will leave you space to pause the recording. Question 1, what did you love about the past year? What felt hard or heavy? What would you change? That's question 3. And question 4 is, what would you keep? So I'll do these again. 1, what did you love about the past year? 2, what felt hard or heavy? 3, what would you change? And 4, what would you keep? So you can pause the recording now and take a few minutes to write some brief answers. And here's my pro tip. Whatever comes to you first is the right answer. If it comes to the top of mind, don't be afraid to write it down. Just be honest with yourself. I had a coach years ago that said, the truth makes everything go faster. So be truthful with yourself. Okay, pause now. Okay, welcome back. So you just created this short snapshot of the past year. And we're going to take a minute to do some breathing because I don't want you to be in this place where you're like analyzing the past year or judging it. Maybe you had some emotions come up while this was going on. And so we're just going to release some of those and get back to a more neutral place. Okay. Even if they were amazing, like excitement, right? Because you could have those too. But coming back to a more neutral place will help your mind be more clear for what we're going to do next. So before we move on, let's just take a minute. And I'm going to do this on the video, so you might hear me moving around. We're going to let our shoulders just drop a little. This is helpful for me as I'm recording. And I want you to breathe in slowly through your nose. You can just count to 4 if you want to. There's no rules here, but I'm just going to breathe. And then let the breath out through your mouth. You can just do it slow. And do that one more time. Let's do it together. All right, just let your body sink into your chair, wherever you're at. Let your body be at rest. And then if you need to, you can shake it out a little bit. I like to do that after being still. Okay, let's move on to reflection 2. Now that we have a more clear idea of what your past year, just that past year, looks like, now we're going to zoom out a little bit. So this is about really what you truly want, not what you think you should want. I'm looking for what resonates with you. Again, whatever comes to you first is probably the right answer. Okay, so just listen to your mind, to your heart, to your body when you do this. So for each area that I name, it's going to be a life area. Okay. I just want you to write one short line. And I would love for you to focus on what feels most true or important right now. Okay. And you can pause this after each one, or you can pause it after the whole thing and write it all down. There's no wrong way to do this. Okay. So I will read them all and then I will read them all again. With the first read through, you may just want to absorb. And then in the second read through, you may want to pause. I'll just suggest that could be a way that you do it. Okay. The first area is work or money. We're just going to get into it. Here's the question. How do you want your relationship with work or money to feel this year? The second area is relationships. How do you want to show up in your relationships this year? What's resonating here? What would you love in your relationships? Okay, number 3, creative work. What kind of energy do you want to bring into your creative work? 4, personal or spiritual life, or both. It's the same, by the way. How do you want this part of your life to support you this year? Next is your physical body and your energy. What does your body seem to be asking for more of right now? So let me say these again, okay? And you can pause right after to answer them if you want. Oh, I want to say this really quick. You may be contrasting to your experience from last year, and that is okay. The reason why we looked to your last year was just for some more clarity in answering some of these questions. Okay, that'll come up later, but you can use the contrast there in answering these questions if you want to. Not from a place of like should or ew, I don't want that, but like what would you love? What would you love? Okay, here we go. Work or money? How do you want your relationship with work or money to feel this year? Relationships. How do you want to show up in your relationships this year? What would you love to create in your relationships? I'm just adding that second question. It's the same. Creative work. What kind of energy do you want to bring into your creative work? Personal or spiritual life? How do you want this part of your life to support you this year? Body and energy, like your physical body, any energy that you want to think about. There's no wrong way to think here. What does your body or your energy seem to be asking for more of right now? Okay, when you're done or when you're finished, here's what I want you to do. I want you to look back and find any patterns. Circle anything that feels like a repeat or underline anything that so if there's a repeat, circle it and underline anything that feels especially resonant to you when you were writing it or thinking about it. It was like flashing lights or like you felt it deep inside, something especially resonant. So you can pause the recording here and take a few minutes to either like answer all the questions and do this work. So circle anything that repeats and underline anything that feels especially resonant or loud. Okay, welcome back. So I want you to look at everything that you wrote. So you wrote all of these things down, okay? And maybe you feel some things forming right now. Or maybe you don't. That's okay too, all right? This is just part of the process we're helping clarify. And as we do that, we're like answering questions. I'm really considering all parts of our lives. I also want to say too, if there was a part of your life that you have a question about or that you wanted to focus on, write that down. Like did I cover it? You can also put that down there too, okay? So look at everything you wrote. And maybe you see some patterns. Maybe you see some things that are starting to repeat, like some certain desires that are rising, certain directions. Just noticing what is rising to the top, what is coming up to the surface, especially in your mind. So you may want to consider that right now. Like, What's coming forward for you? Here's what we're going to do now. We're going to turn these patterns into actual words. Okay, so knowing the contrast or like what you saw of the past year without judgment, knowing that, what is wanting to come forward to be created this year. Okay, so knowing those things, what patterns or directions are emerging? Here's the question that I want to ask you next. If you could create more of something, of one thing in your, well, not just one, but if you could create more of something in your life this year, what would that be? What would it be? Okay, so not tasks or goals. We're not goal setting here. Think of this more as a way of being. Like, do you want more peace? Do you want more ease? I'll tell you my word in a minute. Like, is there like an emotion or a way or something about you that you would love to embody? Something that you see in someone else? It could be confidence. It could be vulnerability. Maybe you want to feel more vulnerable. So here's what I want you to do. List 5 to 7 words that describe what you want to create more of. And you can pause here and do that. So now that you have that list, and it's okay if you only did 3, that's fine too. We're just going to narrow down from there. Take a look with all of that back information. Okay. Take a look at the words that you've written down. Just look at them. Are there any that are catching your attention? Are there any words that seem to like, you guys have all seen this happen in books. If you've been reading, like something jumps off the page and like feels like it directly like pierces you to your soul and to your heart, right? Are there any words that seem to like jump off the page or like get highlighted in bold, even though they're not highlighted actually in bold, okay? And you can try saying a few of them out loud. And remember before I said we're looking for resonance. So try saying them out loud. Say them all. You can pause here to do that if you want to. Notice which ones feel different when you hear them or say them. And you can put a star next to it or mark it in some way, underlined, highlight, whatever. Pay attention to the words your attention keeps returning to. What we're looking for here is, now that we have all this information, what is wanting to come forward to be created by you or in you? So you can pause here to do that work. Okay, so with those words that stood out to you, it's time. We're going to pause again after this. Lots of pausing, but this is the work. It's about listening to your heart quietly, what wants to come forward. So now that you have a few words identified, spend a few minutes with some of the words that stand out. You may decide to listen to the rest of this and then sit with those words for a few days even. So, because here's what I believe. We're looking for clarity, okay? And sometimes clarity comes from what's already written down. And other times, because you're in this space of being open, listening, stillness, really listening to your heart to see what you want to create. So other times a different word will come to you. It may not be any of the words that you wrote down. Be open for either or all of it, okay? And from those words or from a new word, you may have a new word really that comes to you. You're going to choose the word that you want to carry with you into the year. You can pause right now and do that work. And when you come back, I'll tell you my experience with this exercise. Okay, welcome back. If you have the word, amazing. If you don't, it will come to you. I believe in it. I trust in your ability that if you want the word, if a word wants to come to you, it will. So this year, I was talking with a friend of mine and she was like, I chose my word of the year. And I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to do that. And I had a word, I listened to what she was saying and I had a feeling kind of bubble to the surface. And then when I started getting in my head about it, another one came. So then I had these 2 words. I want to preface this by saying I had already done some of these exercises in another session previously. Okay, so I had already done a personal like review of my year, so I already had that information available to me internally. Okay, so I had these two words and I wrote them and I said them and I would contemplate them for maybe a day, maybe two. And this one word, just every time I would say this or think about this one word, it would like resonate, like shake me. And the other word was like, oh, that would be nice. And so I knew, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm like forcing that word because I think it sounds nice. So that word was love. I have a tattoo of a heart on my wrist if you're watching the video. So because a few years ago, I decided that I wanted to pay attention more to love and have it be in my everyday life, but I never made it a word of the year. I just use that. And so I thought, oh, wouldn't that be fun if I made love my word? And that's not what wanted to come through. So the other word that kept rising is the word strong. And I've been using it for a couple of days now, and it's coming up in different ways. It's kind of cool to see how my what I plan, how I am, how my energy is showing up with this word. It's kind of cool to see. Okay, so let me go back to you. You probably have a word now or one that feels close. If you're between the two, you can kind of do what I did, which is sit with it for a couple of days, but make a decision. Eventually make a decision because it will be useful. It won't matter which word you choose. It really doesn't. Okay. So this next part, now that you have your word, is about making it useful. Your word is going to show up in everyday moments. We want it to. We want it to kind of permeate the energy of our lives. It will influence how you decide what to take on. It shapes how you respond to things. It informs the rhythm you choose over time, your daily, your seasonal rhythms. Okay. So for me, peace isn't the absence of challenge. It was the absence of inner conflict. So like with me having peace as a guide, my conversations were more peaceful. Like I let a lot of things go. Not because like I had to, but because the challenge of things became not important. So for me in peace, I let some things in my life remain unresolved without forcing closure, like being peaceful with questions that I didn't have answers for. I allowed those to be there. Some things I still don't have answers for. And I am at peace with that because I'm not forcing the answer. Okay. So control, I loosened control of things when I didn't need to. All of these things. Last, I want to say, and because I wrote this in my notes, peace becomes less about circumstances. It was never about circumstances, and more about how much friction I carried inside myself, how much like friction, resistance, chaos. I let a lot of that go in favor of peace. So that's what it can look like as you live throughout your year. So here's what I'm going to suggest that you do because I like to say that my coaching is where the woo meets the what to do. I love talking about the heady idea, like the the swirling ideas, but also I want to make them practical. So practically, here's what I would love for you to do with this. Make something with it, like a sketch. You could make a photo, a handwritten note, like make some art with it, put it on sticky notes everywhere. A visual reminder, like a beautiful visual reminder. I have a friend that finds quotes or things she wants to or things she wants to remember, and she gets them printed up big on canvases, like beautiful, and puts them on her wall. They're gorgeous. Great reminders. Okay. Put it somewhere where you're going to notice naturally. Right now, I have reminders going on in my phone to pop up during the day. My daughter has some app. I don't know what it is. I'm looking at my phone right now. That's like when you open it, there's like a mantra in the middle of the phone. Like you can do that and just have it on your phone. And as you look at it and think about it and consider it, like I use this to inform what books I'm going to read. There's nothing forced about this, by the way. It's just when I think about the word strong, I'm like, what does that mean? What do I, I'm having conversations with Chat GPT and my personal like GPT that I created, right? About how I want to be strength this year. It's just coming to me. And like more things are coming to me. I'm actually want to be more physically strong. So I'm thinking about and doing work to create more of that. So use it as a reference for making decisions or adjusting your rhythm. So if there's a decision to be made, maybe just let the word resonate in your mind and see what comes. Can you make a quick decision, a decision faster with this word, or a more powerful decision with this word? You can study the word over time. Look it up. Notice how the meaning deepens and changes as you use it, as you create with it. This is a really powerful process. Okay, so here's my final words to you. This isn't about perfection. It's not about making every single part of your life line up with this word, okay? Because we went through the process to see what is naturally rising up, you can trust that it will naturally rise up. This word will help you notice when things feel aligned and when they don't. Use it as a North Star for when you're deciding what matters most. And when you feel off, check in with this word to see if it can help you, to see if it will help you realign or move into realignment or in more clear alignment. So that's how this word, this North Star, works in real life. It will keep you pointed in a specific direction in your north, in the vision that you want for your year. And as you keep returning to it, I think of like, I've done actually when I was younger, a lot of work with like a compass. And actually, well, I used to do, what did I used to do? Anyway, I used to do some stuff when I was younger, like a teen with my mom, and we would do compass work. And you have to continually check in with your compass to look at north and use that to decide what direction. Because you need to know which way north points to figure out where to go next. I hope that visual was helpful for you to stay oriented as your year unfolds. So last I'll say, return to it. Return to it often. Keep this word in a place where it will inspire you and help you become not just better, but like more of who you truly are, because you created this word from a place of internal strength. All right. That's it. I really hope you do this work. And I'll just say this. If you want to share your word with me, you can find me on Instagram at Creative Minds Coach. I would absolutely love to hear it. Or you can email me at brie@creativemindscoach.com. I would also absolutely love to hear it there. That's it from me. Thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you have an amazing